This time on Pole Barn Garage, I've bought this 1981 3/4 ton big block Suburban. Step one, we got to get this thing home. It's been sitting for quite a while. The tires are ancient, but overall the truck's in really good shape. I got a good deal on it on Facebook Marketplace, which is where all of us car guys sit on the pooper and then buy things, right? We're gonna dig into it a little more later, but my trailer is actually buried, so we actually have no choice but to drive this home. It's only 20 minutes. Surely the tires from the Reagan administration will make it. That it's actually a really, really nice truck. Headliner's good, and I gave $2 grand for it. We just got to throw a battery in it and maybe some fresh gas, because it's got old gas in it. There's the 454.
I'm in bad shape.
No, it's all here. This thing's really good. Supposedly the brakes work. You got oil?
Yeah, I got oil.
You got oil?
There is oil in it.
You got transmission fluid?
No, about the tip.
A little bit low. I could smell the varnish.
Yeah, it's
just everywhere. What's this?
Dude, that's the hood holder.
It holds itself. There we go. Dad ran us out here. Except my trailer's buried in like 6 feet of snow. Look at this. Can't get to it. Otherwise, I would have just trailered this one home. You know, when you got to jump on a deal, you do what you got to do. 5 gallons of fresh ought to help anyway. We're gonna need a carburetor rebuild by the time it makes it home. We're getting the full treatment here.
Go.
Got a hell of an exhaust leak.
Yeah.
But it definitely needs a tune-up.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, man.
Brakes go right to the floor.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll be going real slow. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Dome light's stuck on for some reason. I think it'll probably clean out, actually.
Probably.
But
Get some of that new gas in there.
I gotta get the title from the guy. Here's the brakes.
That's it.
They work, but
It'll do, I guess.
definitely only got fronts. It's gonna be a long drive home like this.
Better than going fast and then not being able to stop.
This is true. So I think the brakes will work okay on dry pavement, but it's the whole ice thing, you know, because I think it's only got like maybe 1 or 2 working brakes. So that might be a bit of a problem. The good thing is we can't go fast enough to blow out a tire, I don't think.
No.
Keep that seatbelt on. First, second, tires are literally squares. We're gonna have a lot of upset people behind us, but that is okay. The heat works.
Turn it up. Oh yeah. Works good.
Radio work.
You gotta touch the kid.
Yeah.
We're picking up speed.
We are. We are. We need to watch our speed. We're doing 38 miles an hour. So the tires on this thing are 16.5s. I'm not going to be able to buy those. We're going to have to find a set of wheels and tires for this thing. It's really not good, but it's just tires. I can tell. I mean,
Yeah.
I think everything else is all right. None of the gauges work except for the speedometer. So we can only assume that it's doing fine. All right, we got to go on the highway for a second here. spinning a little bit. There we go. Turn signals work. Boy, it's really runs terrible. There we go. She's coming out of it. You know, hell, we might drain that tank like we should have done to begin with. Dump some sea foam into the thing. I don't know. Oh yeah, the tires. But it was running too good. I forgot about the tires. Still running. I'm actually not really sure how.
It has such bad gas.
It's stinky. It's as bad as I've ever smelled. She's still going. See where I live, you know, they don't actually like plow the roads, maintain the roads, fix the roads. It's been 3 days since this snowstorm and they're still untouched, more or less. Our road's even worse. Yay! I live at the bottom of this hill.
Nice.
I can unclench now. Well, it made it, by God.
And look what's in the back.
What?
The bug shield.
Oh, a blue one too.
Blue
Those are my favorite.
Look at this.
What is it?
Alternator, a fan clutch, a battery kill switch, tow rope, all hoses.
Brake fluid.
There's also power steering fluid in here. All belts. All the belts.
They were prepared.
And transmission fluid. I mean, here. Hoses.
New hoses.
Here.
Maintenance
It's all
records?
the maintenance records.
Oh no. Timing 4 degrees at 700. This guy Xeroxed a Chilton's manual and schematics, all the wiring schematics for the truck. And
That's awesome.
Thank God that works. Coasters.
Just
Ooh.
in case.
Marble. Yeah, I mean if you could dry your clothes, drive down the
In case this
road.
guy was traveling, you know, it keeps clothes from getting wrinkled.
Very adamant about not smoking in the burb. That's old maps. 1999,
Oh, wow.
Missouri, Texas. Texas again. Yeah, they were road tripping this thing.
Yeah.
Got carb kit.
Looks like there's belts and stuff.
This is why in the last video we didn't take the Torino for a drive. It's a reflector, of course. Standard old man fare. Brand new Baby Moon. It's dynamite.
Oh. Oh.
Used alternator. Fan clutch box. Is it new or used? It's used. Oh, with receipts. 1999 is when he bought that. Look how good this thing. Like the box.
Yeah.
Looks like new. We might even use some of this stuff. I mean, there's a new belt. That is a brand new belt. So Dad was telling me that it did oil smoke quite badly out of the tailpipe. There's more oil. And a frozen bottle of water. Stop leak in here, and my patented heater hose plug method. Shove a lug nut. And yeah, the brand new tube
Silicone.
RTV, but it's squeeze it. I don't think it's any good anymore. More belts. Some of them are new, some of them aren't. What's the date on it?
2006.
2006? Yep. Well, that checks out. The guy said it was sitting for like 15 years or so. Last time it was tagged was 2007.
Oh.
So, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I don't know why that's in here, but
Just in case.
you need to expand your tailpipe on the road.
You never know. More belts. My God. This man is as paranoid as I am. Look at that. And a receiver hitch. This baby's ready to tow. Let's get these rugs out that you're
Yeah.
sitting on.
And then let's move to the front.
We can install that.
Yeah. We're done.
One piece at a time. We're going to make this thing a nice truck. Look at this. Oh, dude. The carpet is brand new.
That's probably why you put those down.
Yep.
Oh,
Look at
man.
that. Ooh.
Yeah.
Sunshade.
Hey, you could put that up too. There.
There you go. Hey, look. Wiper blades.
Something's eating. Well, not eating, but
Ooh.
Those go down too.
So that seat folds down. It also comes out. That is battery acid. Someone set a battery here. It leaked. I don't really want the clothes flying out. Got a used oil pressure switch, brake booster valve. I bet that thing's goo underneath that.
Yeah, it's sticky though.
Wonder if the dash is any good. Ain't that bad.
I say leave
I'll
it.
just leave it.
Stuck to the steering wheel.
Leave it. Let's get this seat cover off. I wonder what it looks like under here. And also maybe get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet it's not that bad.
No.
Look at that. It's nice. It doesn't match. It's faded. Oh, is that
Yeah, just a
one
little.
little spot?
You want to take that off? Wow.
Oh, that ain't nothing. I'd rather have that than tape.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're gigantic wood screws. What else wouldn't they be?
You did it.
He's been vacuuming and I've been doing this, trying to get a hold of the hood release, and the cable's frozen. We haven't been able to open the hood of this thing. Hopefully it's the cable. I gotta do one of those.
Totally frozen.
That's no big deal. I'll throw one of those in real quick. Back to my job. Just gotta get this hood latch out of here. Try cleaning it up. Looks like somebody used white lithium grease on everything. That's actually not a good idea on anything that's exposed because it just collects dirt and grime. Unhook it up here, and we snake it back through the cab. Alright, it's working. Alright, well. You can get under the hood. That's a big win there.
Still gotta take a razor blade to it.
One problem at a time now.
Yeah, it's just testing.
We'll get rid of the window tint in due time. Speaking of problems, might as well start with spark plugs. Yep, they are bad. Well, one is so far. Let me get them all out, see what they look like. Let's see what I got for paint. This is from Old Blue. I think that's the correct color, actually. Well, let's put some primer down over the bare stuff. If we don't have to buy a $20 can of vinyl dye, that would be great. Circles.
Circles?
That's how you spread it out.
Okay.
We'll do what we can with it. When that dries, it'll look decent. Got these weird little stubby Bosch plugs in it. You see the AC Delco is quite a bit longer. I'll just put new ones in as I yank them. Been a while since I've done plugs in either of my other big block trucks. Otherwise, there'd just be a big callus there. But yeah, every one of these plugs is fouled to shit. Yeah, junk. But I think they're all just fuel fouled. There's some oil on the threads, which kind of indicates maybe some worn rings, but not too bad. New plugs. Well, I got new wires coming tomorrow. We'll throw a cap and rotor on it and maybe pop that carb off. Hell, that looks good back here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you get to delicious.
It's so good.
I wonder if I could dye this carpet.
What?
Oh, I can. Look at that. Like new again.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah, this is from our 64 Le Mans, but it's kind of a teal color, but it works good on the carpet. And look at that carpet. Freaking great. It's almost, for whatever reason, this medium aqua kind of turns into the right color when you spray it on the carpet. I mean, look at the difference.
Yeah. Spray the other side if you can, or dust it.
Oh, I have a whole other can
Oh, good.
of that.
Heck yeah.
We'll just refinish all the carpet in it. I wasn't planning on just refurbishing the interior of it, but no,
Looks
I
like
guess
we're doing that.
it'll be done. Over that rust stain. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not going to be perfect, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper than brand new carpet. It's free for me because this is just extra. I used to flip cars quite a bit, and doing stuff like this makes all the difference in the world. And honestly, it'll last for quite some time. Never know. Been giving everything a real quick wipe off. Just kind of spritz it up a little bit. I would drive this thing happily just like this. Back on the mechanical end of things here. I know I'm kind of bouncing around, just bear with me. Radiator hoses look just fine. The belts are all cracked and they need replaced for sure. Yeah, I think we should eliminate all of this smog vacuum mess. I figured I'd throw a PCV valve on it just in case that's why it was smoking. Sometimes they stick open and suck lots of oil in. It is stuck. The interior is completely finished.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
It looks great. We'll throw our floor mats back in once the dye dries. Well, I think today we ought to get this thing to run better, tune it up a little. Step one of that is going to be get all the old gas out of it. I'm not going to put a tank in it. I'd like to try to reuse this one. Considering it was running, I'm going to assume it's not that bad. This thing has that anti-siphon plate in the tank. We were trying to get down in there and that's just not going to work, so we're going to have to try to suck it out with a quickie clack or something. I think we can access the fuel lines. We pop this wheel off, which we got to do anyway. This guy back here, that's fuel line. These are rear AC, which has been disconnected. These are 16.5 inch diameter wheels, and you can get tires for them, but they're like 250 bucks a piece. I got a whole set of wheels for 450 bucks with tires. Tires aren't great, but you'll see. It's worth it, but we'll get to that later.
It's a big brake.
It's a 13-inch brake. Those are the big guys. So to get to the rubber hose on top of the tank, you got to drop the tank. If I have to drop the tank, well, we just leave it alone. It's working, and it doesn't look like it's leaking. Well, it ain't actively flowing out, I guess. So let's get the clicky clack, hook onto it.
Yeah.
Oh, sparks and gasoline. It's always a good combination. It's not the worst I've ever seen, though. Yummy. A lot of gas in this thing. We're at about 8 gallons now. These hold about 6 and change. It's all the way to the top. We're gonna have to go dump that in something just so we can keep going here. You're welcome. For your birthday, you can have a full tank of bad gas.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We're gonna hear it stop running.
Are we out?
Yep, we're out.
Alright, well that's only like maybe 10 or 11 gallons. Well, I'm calling our fuel system good enough until we realize that it is not. I'm just gonna put a filter here in line to the pump. I'm not even putting a fuel pump on this thing because it works, so I might replace it eventually, but not right away. I'm trying to keep my cost minimal. JD will drop the oil on the thing. I'm gonna pop the carburetor off. Just FYI, guys, the last time I rebuilt a Quadrajet, it ran like crap. So,
Feels good. Looks black, but that's normal.
normal old oil.
Yeah.
You want me to throw you a new filter?
Yes.
Yeah, use some of that good old stuff. Castrol. Is this ATF or is it
It's
motor
oil.
oil? Oh, okay.
It didn't check before you put it in, just...
Well, you know, a little wouldn't hurt probably. Then a 5-quart jug of VR1. This old oil has zinc in it, so you don't have to worry about it. Unfortunately, the carburetor kit that was in the truck isn't complete. It does have 2 top plate gaskets here, but it looks like he probably went through it once. I'll get a kit. I will say the throttle shaft feels good on this, and that is the Achilles heel of the Quadrajet. This is why I and lots of people are scared of the Quadrajet, because there's a million moving parts inside of these things. They are one of the more complicated carburetors. I'm not insulting it. I'm just not competent enough to work on it. The bowl's nice and clean. I think just hose it out. It probably is fine. I'm still waiting on my carb kit to show up, so I figured in the meantime, I suppose I will doll up the engine a little. You're going to really love the rebuild process here. I mean, it's going to be taking it to new lows. This isn't one I ever plan on like opening the hood and showing off. Just want it to be a little bit better, you know. At least it'll be a little bit more tolerable to put my hands on, you know. That's what we're shooting for here. Well, that didn't do anything at all. So, perfect. Now, from time to time in my life, I've had to do things to make ends meet, just like everybody has. And one of those things has been flipping cars. And I quickly learned one of the best ways to flip a car is to make it look sort of half-ass decent under the hood, but not invest too much time. How do you do that? Low gloss black engine paint. You just hose the whole engine and everything black. Everything. Go to a used car lot. Look under the hood. What does it look like? Looks like somebody dumped a gallon of Vaseline everywhere. Everything is shiny black. You know why? Because someone opens the hood and goes, man, that's clean. It's not, but it looks clean. And voila. Does it look good? Hell no, it doesn't look good. If I painted it orange or blue, it would look like dog shit. Now, it just kind of looks like shit. Not specifically dog shit. Spray bombed the air cleaner back there. I know people get all kinds of antsy about these square bodies, and I love them. I've probably had at least 50 of them, and I'm not exaggerating. It's just a truck at the end of the day. I open up the hood, it's because I'm working on it. It's not because I'm showing it off. This old cap out of here, and it's pretty bad. Wait till I show you guys this. I've got a new cap and rotor to put on. It's all pretty cheap, generic parts store stuff. Then we'll put some new plug wires on, and then hopefully by then my carb kit has arrived at the parts store. So you see on the rotor here, it's all carboned up around the middle, and the rotor itself is actually it's burned away pretty significantly as well, although that's not the reason it was misfiring. This very well could be. See that coil button? So that button is supposed to protrude from the cap. Your new cap and rotor is going to come with a new button. And you can see that he's got a little nub on him. This one is almost flush, and it's even melted the cap away. It'll keep running like that until it blows a hole in the bottom of this thing. But that is a pretty sizable Achilles heel of the HEI. Let me throw my new rotor in here. Let me get the coil out of this cap, make sure it looks good. It looks like a newer coil. There's really only a couple things you could look at on these just to eyeball real quick if they're any good. A coil is a coil of wires. It takes 12 volts in and basically turns it into like 50,000 volts. It's like a little transformer. The way it does that is with windings of wires. So you have so many windings on the primary side and then so many windings on the secondary side, and there's some magic involved there, and then boom, it turns into 50,000 volts. Well, to separate those windings, there's epoxy resin, and those wires can't touch each other in there. Lots of them. That resin keeps them separated and insulated from each other. So if you ever take a coil apart, you see that resin is melted or starting to get discolored, that is a good indication that you're going to need a coil pretty soon. And here's our new coil button. I'm just going to put a little bit of dielectric grease on either side of this rubber washer here. Slam this baby back home. Sorry if I'm a little bit muffled, guys. I'm a little under the weather right now. Everybody's been sick except for me for the last like 3 weeks. I was like, man, I got them right. I'm good. It finally caught me. I think these spark plug wires probably qualify as antiques at this point. There's our new plug wires. I gotta tell you, for a set of generic plug wires from just the parts store, those fit excellent. And they were only like $26 for the set. I'm going to give them a reluctant 9 out of 10 on those. Now I'm draining some antifreeze out of here. That's so I can get to the temp sender in this cylinder head. Now the wire looked fine. It could be the gauge is bad, but it's always worth the $7 to try to throw a temp sender in it. Figure we might as well do that. Fill her up with some fresh antifreeze. I think the only thing we really have left to do is try to put a donut gasket in this manifold here. And belts. And we should be in good shape. With all the oddball stuff I've been working on recently, and all the time, you know what a relief it is to work on something I could just go to my local parts store and get anything for? Anything. A gas tank is $160 from the parts store. You know, I mean, like, so if this one's junk, I can have one tomorrow, ready to go. If you are a new car guy starting off, I cannot express to you how much I would encourage you to go with a GM product for your first one. I like Fords, I like Mopars, AMC, I like it all, but these are so easy. It's simple. And the engineering is good. It interchanges for like 3 decades. It's good stuff. No pukage. I'm still waiting on a carb kit. It hasn't arrived yet. I mean, with the snow we've had, everything is just late. I'm still waiting on parts for the Torino we did last week. As for the old antifreeze, we could use this Harbor Freight transfer pump. Pump it right back into a jug. We could use it in something eventually, I'm sure. You try to pop these belts off of here. The way they mount these things is just ignorant, man. Let's get these ancient belts off of here and then replace them with equally ancient belts. Looks like this Charter belt here is, yep, alternator belt for the Suburban. So that's one brand new belt. Save $1, you know. These damn belts will probably last 100 times longer than anything they sell nowadays. Anyway, there is something incredibly satisfying about just doing basic maintenance to something like this. It does something for me. I don't think that carburetor kit's gonna get here before tomorrow, so probably start on brakes after I eat my supper. Today's video is brought to you by AG1 and this hat, which is a lie. I usually wake up before Jess, so I make 2 AG1s in the morning for the both of us, and this is part of our daily routine. We both love AG1. It makes a huge difference in our lives, so you just gotta shake it. And then you are ready to enhance your entire day with AG1. It's because of the prebiotics and probiotics in it that help your bowels. You know what I mean? But it also helps with energy and focus with B vitamins and adaptogens. I get asked a lot, like, how do you do all this work all the time? Well, 1, I work like 18 hours a day. But 2, the only reason I can work 18 hours a day is because I, support myself, supplement correctly with AG1. So you can use my code, scan this QR code right here. You're going to get a year's supply of vitamin D3 and K2. You're also going to get free travel packs. It's a single serving of AG1. If you're on the go a lot like I am, traveling all over the country, driving home junk, this is helpful, especially when you're on the road and you're eating a bunch of crap, no pun intended. It keeps you regular. Just scan that code and give it a shot. Let's get back to what we're doing. Well, let's see if we can't get this master cylinder off of here. So it's got this little T adapter thing on it with a brake line running into the cab, which I can only assume is for that trailer brake stabilizer thing it has. We'll probably just get rid of that. Because I can't use it for my trailer. Okay, where does this go? Surely it doesn't go to the trailer brake controller. It does. Oh my god. That's how it gets its input for the brakes? Is... what? No way. This little box is made by Johnson & Johnson, a family company. Why on earth wouldn't it just use an electric input off the brake light switch? I don't know. We're not going to use that though. I'll leave it in there for aesthetics. 15 millimeter. Metric stuff. It's about the right time for that, isn't it? Got a new master cylinder here, and it is a Chinesium one from the parts store. However, I kind of like these, I'm not going to lie. You guys know I bag on this stuff all the time, but these aluminum ones, they're pretty good. I can't knock them. I haven't had a bad one. The aluminum's pretty cool, it doesn't rust, lighter weight. So I always just start with the master cylinder. That way I could just look at it and be like, yeah, I did something, I accomplished something. Of course, my bench vise is out here, so we have to venture out into the frozen waste. By myself, I really prefer to do it in a vise. If you got someone to watch it while you hit the brake pedal, you can mount it on the car and do it. But just fill it up about halfway, and then get to pumping. Pump till the bubbles don't come out no more. This is something that's very simple, but is often forgotten, and people go, why don't my brakes work? Yeah, right here. See, once that piston gets hard to push, and we should start to see some fluid actually spray out the top. The idea is you plug this, it forces the air through the top, and then theoretically forces the fluid through the top as well. Bled to the point where there were no air bubbles, but I could never get like a fountain of fluid out of it. The piston's just too big. Well, let's start on some brakes. I'm going to start on the front, because they're easier. You know how I was bragging about how I could go to the parts store and get anything I wanted? Well, you can't get a right front caliper for it right now. I don't know why. I bet you $1, there's nothing wrong with this. Here's the dumb part about a square body. See the rubber brake hose here? It goes inside the frame, and then the line bolts to it inside the frame up against the fuel pump where you can't get to it up in here. It's really genius. Brake hose actually bolts and nuts through the frame. So if you could take the big nut off, you could pull it out to where you could access it out here. Now I can pull it out and I can access the brake line fitting. Now what we need is for the damn thing to actually break loose. Yeah, the nut's frozen to the line, but that's okay. We can deal with that. We'll just thread our new hose onto that. it ain't even stuck at all. The pads are, they leave some to be desired, but there is a little bit left of them. There we go. Haha. There's nothing wrong with that. Look at that. Man, zero play. That grease is brand new. Just put that back as long as the other side looks as good as it does. To retain our banjo bolt, named such because of the American hero and folk legend Billy Banjo. The only thing I need to do next is make sure that this brake bleeder breaks free. It ain't even rusty. And it's a 10 millimeter. That tells you that caliper's not that old. Yeah, here we go. Apparently I don't have a functioning C-clamp anywhere, so allow me to press this piston in. There, if I can do it like that, it's probably a perfectly fine brake caliper. I probably shouldn't cheaped out on the pads. Look how much less surface area there is on this one compared to the old one. So these are going to wear out pretty quick, but I did buy the absolute cheapest ones, and that is 100% my fault. I put 2 new crush washers on my Billy Banjo bolt here. This installed, and this side is done. This side, you can tell, is locked up solid. You know, it's either the brake hose, which I doubt, because it actually is still shiny. It kind of looks new. It's probably the caliper's stuck, but thankfully I have a new caliper for this side. Well, that's convenient. That's a tomorrow problem. I'm gonna go take a bunch of NyQuil, and I'll see you at some point tomorrow, probably afternoon. I slept a long time with all that NyQuil I took. Now I still feel like dog ass. It's super crusty. There's some black widows in there. You know, the normal. Nope, there's play in this one. Yeah, looks just as good as the other side, just too loose. So we will go ahead and address this one. It's fine. Hell, it's still got grease coming out of it. Suppose I might as well take a peek at the back. Yep, it was done at the same time. Good enough. I'll toss a little bit more grease in that, and then just shove it back in. Here's one good way to tell. Take some new grease and slide it through there, and it's still full of grease. I like to crank them all the way down to make sure everything seats. What you want to do is make sure they're as loose as they can be, but without any slop. Back it off to the first hole you can get your cotter key through. Well, I finally got my carb kit, so I want to sit down and just kind of do a basic go through this thing. We're going to put new needle and seat in it, as I noticed the cone on this needle is crushed. See how it's kind of round on the end? It should be pointy. Here's a new one. You can see how pointy it is. That's how they should look. I just want to make sure all the passages are clear. Get down to the jets. Blow them out. I'm just going to check my flow height here by depressing the needle into its seat. It's, I don't know, somewhere between 5/16 and 3/8, which is probably fine. With that done, I deem it completely rebuilt. Just forgot to put a new accelerator pump cup on. Oh, it definitely works. See, now we get to do the 3-handed quadrajet shuffle. I was really hoping I might learn something since I was 16 years old and the last time I tried to do this, but turns out I haven't. This is still kicking my ass. Like, I don't understand how... Oh my god, the metering rod's pulled out again. Well, I got the top plate back on. I realized that I needed to remove the bottom plate so I didn't have to mess with the accelerator pump linkage. Then I realized that you can actually remove the secondary metering rods that are connected to the air door and install them afterwards. All that said, it's probably still not going to run. So don't get your hopes up here. If it doesn't run, it doesn't run, and then I'll throw an Edelbrock on it. I always have one extra laying around just because of things like this. At least I actually put it together. And that's, well, I don't know, it's kind of a personal thing at this point. Also, look at that fuel filter. I bet that was the problem the entire time. I put some fresh gas in it. Let's see what happens. Step outside. They even have the doors open. Other than the exhaust leak, it actually runs okay. I don't think it runs very good. I'm going to set the timing before I just throw another carburetor at it, but I am kind of proud of myself. That thing doesn't run that bad. You could drive it. I have maybe conquered the Quadrajet challenge, or at least my personal fear of them. It's a winning moment. There's a pretty good chance that Edelbrock winds up on this thing before the end of the video, but I'm glad I persevered and made that thing run. I feel good about that. I read on something that old man had written down. He said he had 4 degrees before top dead center, and that's not enough. It should be between 8 and 10. I'm pretty sure the balancer is slipped, so I can't really see what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna crank it until it doesn't want to start back up and back it off a little. Yeah, a little bit of a buck. We need to back it off a hair. It's very hard for me to tell how it's running with that exhaust leak. I did something wrong to that carburetor, because like sometimes it's fine and then other times it's literally just pouring fuel into it. Let's put an Edelbrock on it. That can live on the plow truck. For sure. The bottom of it is wet and the plenum is wet. There's standing fuel in the plenum, so I definitely did something wrong. But it runs! It'll be totally fine on the plow truck. So here's how I'm bitching out with the Edelbrock AVS2 that you can commonly get pretty much anywhere. This one's been floating around since our trip down to Duct Tape Drags. So I believe it is used, but it ran great, and they always do. Voila! Look, my rebuild quadrant. No, it's an Edelbrock. Before I start this up and see what it runs like, I'm going to try to put a donut gasket in it, and pretty sure it's this flange that's leaking. I only got one, so hopefully that's it. If we can get the studs out. Haha! Probably going to break everything. And yes, I know, I didn't get to the rear brakes yet. We're going to get there. Just settle down, okay? I will pull this car over. There is, of course, a 0% chance that this actually works. No way. Oh yeah, there's the donut gasket. You can see the gasket there. It is blown. There, I got it. It's probably asbestos. Yummy, yummy in my tummy. There we go. If this works, I'm gonna giggle. I'm not even kidding. Well, let's see if it runs or sounds any better than it did before. Looks like the manifold might be cracked. I'm trying to see where it's coming from. Kind of boggy. Yeah, it smokes pretty good. This ain't. Oh, look at that. You can check for a burnt valve this way if it tries to suck it in. Maybe it needs the rings freed up because it was running so rich before for who knows how long. Let me try something dumb. You know, I didn't really like breathing anyway, so let me go ahead and pour some transmission fluid down the throat of the car. This will free up carbon and oil deposits and just kind of clean everything out. Well, you can't see me, but what I'm going to do is let that sit for a few minutes and let this transmission fluid kind of work its way into the carbon, and then you start it up and just wail on it. When I dumped that ATF down there, I saw the front of this manifold just poof smoke. So it's either gasket or broken, cracked manifold, whatever. It runs better, but that's about it. That dark spot I was showing you there, is where I think it's cracked. I think that's where the ATF kind of worked its way through. That's either oil or carbon leaking directly out of this bank, which is the one Dad said was smoking. I'm gonna call under the hood good enough for now. Let's start on these big old boys here. This is a full floating 14 bolt. And what that means is that the axle is separate from the housing, basically. Remove the brakes, so you have to unbolt this flange. Ooh. Okay, these usually aren't much of a problem. Just to show you how this is supposed to work, I went over to this side and they just come right out. I don't know if you can see this, but I actually cracked my socket. I was just getting ready to put it up. And this is a brand new Icon socket from Harbor Freight. You know, these aren't terrible sockets. Unfortunately, I had to give away my wheel choice here. The local crackhead special, like, you know, mid-2000s, 3/4 ton Chevy truck wheel. I think putting the wheel on, putting it on the ground, then hitting these with a breaker bar is about the only way they're going to come out of there. My final trick of the evening, I will be growing a tail to get the actual breaker bar. I broke another socket. In case the ATF is watching, no, that's not a double barrel shotgun barrel. It's got Loctite on it. And boom. That's why I had a bucket under here. It pukes. There's a snap ring in here you got to get out of the way, which you can remove with just a screwdriver. Just don't lose it. That guy. And then there's a keyway here. This is what that snap ring holds in, is a little piece of square stock. You can remove this spindle nut here. They're not supposed to be super tight, so if it is a little stuck, you can take a screwdriver and just whack it a few times with a hammer, and they should come right off. Sorry for the noise, but it's cold. I gotta run that here. God bless. It's a heavy son of a bitch. These brakes definitely need service. They're about out of shoe. The wheel cylinder's leaking. You can see the wetness there. I actually like to see that. That's encouraging to me, because that means there's fluid coming back here, which means the brake line is probably okay. We will go ahead and replace the rubber line back here. We'll give her a bath to start.
Here come the jesters, 1, 2, 3. It's all part of my fantasy. I love the music and I love to see the crowd dancing in the aisles and singing out loud.
I'm just gonna run this bearing in a little bit, and then we're gonna adjust the brake to a good preset. Just run it out until it just starts to drag on the drum, and then back it off a little bit, and that'll get you pretty damn close. Bearing preload set, you just want it set to just like your fronts, basically. No in and out play, and you want to spin it freely. I got a little bit of brake drag on it, so they'll wear in. There's supposed to be a gasket that goes around this flange, so a little RTV will work. There is a torque spec for these. Allow me to demonstrate. You know, it just occurred to me, I probably ought to rebuild this brake drum. I mean, it looks kind of antique-ish. There we go. Brand spanking new. That's going to make that look way better, sitting behind our ill-gotten wheels. Sorry if that's your truck that's missing a set of wheels, by the way. Business is business. That brake's done. I'll have to get Jess out here to give me a hand with bleeding them. I did have to make one new brake line for this side, and that may turn into making another brake line for the other side, but I don't know. I'm kind of, if you can't tell, I'm not being super duper thorough here, kind of treating it like a flip. Jess and I went to dinner, and I'm waiting on her to come out to help me bleed the brakes. In the meantime, I'm going to throw some shocks at this thing. For the rear, I've got Monroe OE Spectrum, made USA, good shock. For the front, I have garbage. When I cut this, here she goes. Alright, so now, unless I want to actually jack the body up like you're supposed to, I've just got to catch this with the bolt. There. See, I just saved myself about 15 minutes of work. My lovely assistant Jess is here to push the brake pedal now. So we're going to take a break from shocks and do brakes. Well, we got fluid already. That's good. So these are kind of fighting me. I had brakes in the rear, then they went away. Then we had brakes in the front, and then they went away. And then the pedal went away. Then it came back. And it's something with the proportioning valve. The valve is stuck in there. What I ended up doing is bleeding the fronts to the point where they built pressure. Now I'm able to bleed the rears again. And then I'm probably going to have to jump back to the fronts to try to get every bit of air out of it. But that prop valve, the little gate in there is stuck. Yeah, those are excellent.
Yeah, those are great.
All right, we got it. If you ever get tied up on bleeding brakes, try to equalize the pressure in the system. It's the best way I could explain it. I know that's not correct necessarily, but that's how my mind works. I'm not a trained mechanic at all. I just taught myself all this shit. Now that the brakes are definitely fine, we're gonna work on the window. Oh no.
So satisfying.
Hell no it isn't.
Why?
Now the windows are frosted. At least you could poop back here and no one would see, I guess.
That is a plus anywhere we go, you know?
Oh, okay, here you go. I even got you a scraper thingy.
Oh, thank you.
I'll do the front shocks. It's a better job than that. There's the old shock here. Came out pretty good, and it's very junk. Here's the new shock. You can see how dinky it is compared to the old one. This, no fitty in there. It's too wide. The spacer they put in here is wrong. We'll precisely lathe off 1/4 of an inch-ish. Now marvel in my precision. Look at that. It's perfect. I keep telling you guys, I'm going to put the tape measure industry out of business. And there's a trick to two-wheel drive square body shocks. You got to put the lower one in first, and then twist and basically bend it to fit the upper. In a nice jerking, twisting motion, shove that on there. And you may note that that looks really bad. It looks like it's crooked and going to wear out quickly. And you'd be right, it will. Yeah, this shock doesn't even fit the truck. I have to press this spacer out. In fact, this entire shock is different than the other one. They are the same length-ish, but quality. Not only is this shock wrong, it's the right part number, but not only is it wrong, it's bad. And I was trying to press out that bushing, and look, it's blue underneath, like a Monroe, like it's been spray painted, shoved back in the box. You know, suddenly these old shocks aren't looking that bad. So this is the passenger side shock off of it. They are gas charged shocks. It's bad. But the driver's side one, it's still good. So I'm just gonna put it back on. And then we'll have three new shocks on my surely this won't end poorly.
Remember that really fun time a little bit ago where I was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun? No.
That kind of love is mythical. She's anything but typical. She's a crazy.
Well, now that the shocks are definitely fine, kind of like the brakes and everything else, I'm gonna go ahead and grease everything. And the cool thing on these 3/4 ton and larger Chevy trucks, well, maybe even the half tons, is pretty much everything is serviceable. You can grease your control arm bushings, everything has a Zerk on it. I'm looking through this apron here, and I'm starting to feel ballsy about trying to get this exhaust manifold off. Before I started to tackle the exhaust manifold, I decided I should check the rear end lube, but then I set up my camera like an idiot, and you can't actually see it, but it was full. Oh, it came right out. Hell yeah, I'm gonna change this manifold. Got my new manifold here, just a Dorman one from O'Reilly. I noticed the EGR tubes are rotted off of that manifold. We'll see that in a second. So I'm obviously not gonna hook those up. I'll just plug it. So we're gonna cut this big hose here and then plug this big hose with something and it'll work. The right way to do this would be to pull all the tubes out and then remove all this nonsense, but I'm not gonna do that because then I would just end up with exhaust leaks on this side. And you might say, but Dalton, that seems like a crude and half-assed way to take care of this problem. And you'd be right, but The question you should truly be posing to yourself here is, do I give a shit? No. We're just going to goop this bolt full of RTV, install the bolt into this piece of rubber hose. I'm going to tighten this hose clamp that I found on the ground. Then it will be solved. This will be fixed. This is half of the EGR tube set up on these manifolds. So I just chopped it off, twisted it off of the manifold itself. Just to gain a little bit of room, maybe just enough room to snake it out the top. You rotten bastard. Fortunately, the new manifold looks pretty similar. Our new one down in here. Also, if you hear scurrying, it's actually not mice in the walls, it's just Jess scraping on the windows still. She wants in, but I won't let her. I think I got it knocked out. I got the tailpipe bolted back up. Please be good. No. Okay. I don't know what I screwed up here, but let me try to figure it out. Well, it sure looks like that donut gasket sealed up. And I thought I felt the leak up here, and sure enough, this bolt right here seems to have turned into a loosey. So I don't think there's any threads left, which means I'll put a longer bolt in it. Yeah, that took some threads with it. I've gone with the stack a shit ton of washers onto a too long of bolt method here. That way my bolt length is infinitely adjustable. The precise, gentle application of torque. Hopefully that was it, unless it already blew the gasket. Yep. God damn it. I just slid under it and I can actually see the gasket flopping back and forth on the back of this manifold. Or maybe I got something interfering and not letting it see. So that part of the gasket right there is what I saw flapping. And this manifold is totally tight, and the top of the gasket is seated, but the bottom of the gasket is loose, and that's where it's leaking. So the manifold is machined incorrectly, or maybe it's resting up against the block somewhere. I'm not really sure what to do about this, other than maybe stack like 5 exhaust gaskets on top of each other. Sure enough, I have a pair of big block Chevy header gaskets. They're the wrong port shape, but I don't think that's going to matter for what we're trying to do here. 3 gaskets. Probably did nothing. Oh, it's better. Hey, it'd probably run better if I plugged in those 2 spark plugs, huh? Oops. Hang on, one sec. Well, it's still terrible. But I can live with it. Okay, now we're leaking on the front of the manifold. So maybe I just need like 6 more gaskets. What we're going to do now is checkbook it, or pass it on to the next guy. Either way, it's not my problem. What's left for now is just cleaning up some windows. I think otherwise we've turned this thing from an absolute death trap to something we could probably drive.
And see out of.
Yeah, visibility has improved greatly. Yes, I'm baby-faced. Yeah, trimmer was set on the wrong setting this morning, and I went, ah! And it's gone. It's time to put some wheels and tires on this thing, and then take it on a maiden voyage to the farm and home store, where we'll pick up some paint for it, and some bodywork materials that you'll see in the next video, but we gotta see if the truck will actually drive there to know if it's worth doing. Here's the wheels I got. They suck. Like, you could actually see the tread is all worn to weirdly on this. 3 of the wheels aren't in bad shape at all, but this one kind of blows. 3 different tires on all of them, but then again, it is the marketplace special, so what do you expect? See, I find myself in a conundrum. This is the worst wheel, so it should go on the right rear, but it's the best tire, so it should go on the left front. Well, they look cool on it anyway. I do have center caps coming for these. To use those, you have to have these special lug nuts that have threads on the outside of them so that you can thread that plastic lug nut onto it. And I was having a hard time finding those in a standard thread pitch until I went to lugnutguys.com, where I source all of my nuts, whether they're shiny, zinc-plated nuts, acorn nuts, mag wheel nuts, just nuts of all different kinds at lugnutguys.com. I can live with that exhaust leak. It's not too bad. This kind of sounds like an old truck now, you know. Wheels look good. Need to wash it though. All right, to the farm and home.
Yes.
But our first objective is to put gas in it because it only has a few gallons. Off we go. Hopefully this will be a better drive than the drive home. Ooh, it's icy. Really? All right, we're gonna have to slingshot our way out of here. We're gonna run out of gas if we don't get out of the driveway soon. Let me get up this hill. There we go. Out. Oh, actually, it's pretty good. It also, see how quiet that is? I think we got that exhaust leak pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's not bad.
Oh, yes. How's that work?
Yep. Let's go on family vacation. Them brakes are pretty good.
Yes.
You did a good job on them. Actually, the whole truck is really good. I don't know. Currently, my present situation, no, I'm not going to flip it. That might change by the end of the day. But currently, not going to flip it.
And the heater's been on for, what, 2 minutes? And my knees are already toasty, roasty.
You could fry an egg on these vents. It's like a hardcore heater.
Yeah.
This truck reminds me so much of the 85 I had in this. That it's fantastic. I love it. Damn it. I didn't want to. I'm gonna punch it again, I swear. Anyway, we're gonna fill this thing up with some non-ethanol. That's the only reason I went to this gas station with the screen. It's still idling kind of rough and weird. I'm gonna guess that's probably something to do with the varnish everywhere. Well, that was horribly expensive. She's cleaning the window off because I forgot gloves and any kind of winter gear at all to wash this thing. I do want to wash the truck pretty badly before we do body work. That would be helpful. So we're gonna go to the farm store. I'll buy gloves and winter wear there, and then we'll wash it because I needed new stuff anyway. All right, let's see if it likes the, wait, why is it doing that? Please stop.
No.
What? Why is the buzzer on? Yeah, I fixed that. Dude, come on now. Okay.
Okay.
So I think there might be some like electrical issues.
No.
Maybe. Like the dome light stays on perpetually. It's fine. Okay, well we're just gonna ignore that. Drives really good. Look at this. It's good. The tires suck, and it drives this good. That means she's good. I mean, what a machine. Well, I'm up to like 60% love. We'll see if we reach 100% by the end of the episode. Well, that's I gotta say, that's the first for me. Speedometer cable, maybe? It's in the dash, isn't it?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Or is it the motor? highway. I'll pull off up here somewhere.
Yeah, this is the best highway for test drives that it has no shoulders.
That's a lifter.
Lovely.
Didn't get hot. That's a lot of lifter noise. Yeah, it's still running on 8, so I don't think it's like completely dead. Probably take it home.
Yeah.
Let's go get some miracle goo for it. I don't. It's just not running that bad. I wonder if a lifter is just stuck, which obviously I should quit driving it, but we don't really have a choice, so
Yeah.
let's just buzz back to town and see what we can do. If we had just left that damn exhaust leak, I wouldn't even know about it. Yeah, we're just gonna fix this baby right up. So if it's a stuck lifter, we can use Marvel and it'll unstick it. And if it's a something else, we could use goo and that will fix it. Enough to sell it to the next guy. I don't know how much you're supposed to put in there, but that's what it's gonna get. Yes. Feeling there might have been a reason that Pop-Pop quit driving this. They should sell a mechanic's stethoscope here, and I want to really verify before I just write this thing off. I have had Chevy fuel pumps fail, and then they sound like they sound like a rod knocker, lifter in this case.
Oh, Dr. Dalton.
Yes.
Trust him, he's a doctor.
Yeah. It's a rocker, I think. It is better.
A little bit.
So what happens is the plunger in the hydraulic lifter will get stuck. And that Marvel stuff does a pretty good job of freeing that plunger up. Now you want to change the oil pretty soon afterwards, but if you just kind of drive with that in the engine, it will free up those lifters most times. The only gauge that works is the clock. I know what time it is.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
How come you didn't drive your Torino in the last video?
Right.
Once again, I can only swear so much in a video, so I used Swanee to pull the truck back up onto the driveway. It took like an hour to actually get this thing to where we could put it in the shop. It still refused to actually drive into the shop. I definitely did not rip off the brake lines of the truck by throwing a chain around the front crossmember and accidentally hooking them, so things just really went from bad to worse here, and my opinion on the Suburban decreased in kind. But we just have to winch it in, you know, because there's ice. I think we're just going to pop that valve cover off and see what's wrong with it. Well, some time has passed and my head is cooled off a little bit. I'm not as pissed off at this as I was, but I am still kind of angry at it. Angry enough that I think it's got to go. Put it up for sale just now, and within 2 minutes of the post being up, my buddy Casey with Casey's Customs jumped right on it and said he'd take it. I'm selling it at a loss, but, you know, I mean, I can't rightfully sell something with the motor making that noise. There's a moral to be had here, and that's sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. I wouldn't even say we lost here. I mean, we still got to put the thing more or less back on the road. Ironically, the guy I bought it from was just going to pull the engine and trans out of it and use it in something. And that wouldn't have worked out very good for him if he wouldn't have gone through it first. And I've had a lot of comments like, "Oh, just put an engine in it. Just do this or that." Like, man, I already have 2 big block Chevy trucks. I've got the K5 Blazer. I've got my Tahoe. I don't need this. I only bought it because it was cheap and it was local. You know, that's as simple as that. I buy and sell cars all the time. I always have forever since I was 16 years old. I mean, I might have a different car every other week. If it would have turned out and been a pretty easy, you know, runs and drives and I could throw a paint job on it, I'd have kept it. But if I've really got to tear into the motor and stuff, is this really what I want to put my time into, or would I rather do it in something more interesting? I would rather work on, like, that Jeep Wagoneer we picked up, or the 64 Grand Prix I picked up, or the Cadillac into the Skylark. A lot of different things I want to work on that aren't this. So you're going to see Casey pick this thing up tomorrow. But in the meantime, I am curious to know what happened. Let's dig in here and just see what we can find. Get the AC compressor out of here. Now we can access the valve cover once I pull this upper bracket off. Ooh. 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 Oh no. I see milk shakeage. So if we don't find anything broken or obviously screwed up in here, I'm gonna go with, it's a oil pump, more than likely. I don't really see anything out of the ordinary, other than there's not as much oil up here as I would think there should be. The only one of these that feels especially weird, that guy. Now, just because it's loose, that doesn't mean anything necessarily. It could be loose just because it's on the circle of the cam and not the lobe. But, like, that's about as much as they should move at 0 lash. This moves a little bit too much. And I don't think it should be at 0 lash. I'm not even going to pull the other valve cover, because I bet you it's either that lifter there or it's the oil pump. So the cam is probably wasted, but it could be wasted because the oil pump went bad, or it could be wasted just because the lifter's stuck in its bore and it ground flat. Well, it is the next day, and Casey is here to take home his prized herb.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. It runs and drives. It's great. AC, heat. You said everything's good to go? And,
yeah.
And 4-wheel drive? Wait,
yeah.
Something's wrong with this.
No, it just needs hubs.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's optional 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, so this thing is guaranteed to last to the, well, as far as we can push it.
That's what I saw in the contract, so we should be good. Okay.
Yeah. We made a deal. It's not a good deal. It's not a good deal for anybody.
We did something.
Well, anyway, you're going to be able to follow this turd over on Casey's Customs on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. It's his problem now.
I'm probably not going to cut it up. Probably not going to cut it up.
Cut it up? I don't care.
We could cut it up.
Turn it into a... We could turn this thing into a ranchero right now.
I still told you need to bag something in here. We got to get a bag something over here on the Pole Barn Garage channel.
This would be great to bag. It's 2-wheel drive. It'd be easy.
True. Yeah, you're starting to sell me on it.
Dude, it would look pretty cool bagged.
You told me there's a little something going on. Can we hear it run? I already paid for it, so I'm in either way.
So, yes, that's true. I have his money. So...
Also, don't pay first before you hear him run, because he made a face that I'm worried about. It sounds great! Just an exhaust.
So
Actually, it was better than I thought.
boy, that's weird. Oil. We should take this off and see if it's actually.
I want to look at it, to be honest with you.
Let's watch it while it's running. Casey, I just ripped the brake lines off. It definitely didn't take the whole cross member.
Oh, were we not supposed to say that on camera?
No, definitely didn't happen.
Actually, it was just the brake lines, apparently.
That's right. It was just the brake lines.
Yeah, that big chunk of metal I saw earlier must
It
have been
is-
from some other car.
Oh, you mean this?
Yeah, the thing that looks like a cross member.
No oil. Not a fucking thing.
Yeah.
I gotta shut that off before we suffocate.
Oh, yeah? Is that why I'm getting lightheaded?
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, I tell you what, that was not... Even the bent one didn't look horrible.
No, this is fine now.
What the
Well,
a little play, but that's not... Huh.
So the thing is, last night when I was checking it, it was hot.
Yeah.
The oil was,
Oh, yeah.
and it's got 2050 in it, and it's 10 degrees outside.
I was going to say yes.
So it has the equivalent of 300, 500 in it right now.
Yeah.
You should see liquid oil spraying
Absolutely,
out
yeah,
up here,
yeah.
and there's not.
No.
This will be his problem now, and we can say goodbye to it. I had fun working on it. I had fun kind of getting it back in shape. It's been great.
It's been something.
Yeah.
Love you, bye!
Go to polebarnmerch.com, get you a shirt, a hat, or whatever, and we'll see you guys next time on Pole Barn Garage. I promised you a paint job. You're going to get a paint job, so stay tuned next week. Something's going to be good.